Hello, and welcome to No One Listens to Me, the podcast that wants you to know it is time to take down your Christmas decorations. It's almost Easter. My name is McGee. I'm a certified ADHD coach. This podcast is not always about ADHD, but it is going to be about ADHD today. Speaking of Easter, I have to tell you how absolutely fed up I am with the communication in my family. And when I say my family, I don't mean like between my daughter and me or my sister and me. I mean my parental figures and just how they communicate with themselves about plans for hosting events at their house over the holidays. It always happens that leading up to the actual day, and it doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, it could literally be the day before they want us to be at their house, and they still won't know what time we're supposed to eat dinner or when they want everybody there. And this time, in the case of Easter, this was so weird. It was like my two nephews, who are in their 20s, they knew about the plans to have Easter at my parents' house before my brother and I knew. Of course, I suspected that we would. And I'm sure the reason why she checked with my stepmom, checked with both of these boys was because they're the ones that have work schedules and other things in their life that prevent them from being at family events sometimes, and they are actually more important than my brother or me. Once you have grandchildren, you're just like, "Oh, I have children? I didn't know that. I was more focused on these grandkids and getting to see them and being so nosy about their life." So anyway, I'm talking to my dad about it, and of course I had already checked with my brother and he's like, "I have not heard a thing about Easter." So I get the scuttlebutt from my dad basically that my stepmom is once again overthinking the plans for Easter. They are older, right? They're not gonna be here forever, and so it's a lot to ask them to, cook a full 8-course meal or something like that, or even use their microwave to heat something up because they eat out most of the time. They're older people, they live on their own. Yes, they have a fridge full of food, but for the most part, they're almost always eating out. And I get it. I live alone and I don't cook much for myself. And by the time I have the second day of leftovers, whatever I've cooked, I'm tired of it and I want to throw it away. So, hey, I get it. So, after I hear all of the details about how she's overthinking it and hemming and hawing, and oh, we had so much leftover ham the last time we had Christmas dinner, and I just, I don't want to have to deal with it. So I reach out by text and I'm like, "Hey, what's the deal? What are we doing for Easter?" And I've started doing this thing now where I just say, and I told her very specifically, very clearly around Christmas, "You cannot do this yourself. Start letting other people help and contribute. Like, don't take it all on." And then she still, even though she accepted help and I brought food and my brother brought food and all of this stuff, she still made way too much food. And by the way, we don't need a casserole dish that can feed 8 people of corn pudding, Judy. But anyway, so when the issue of the ham stuff came up, I just said, "You know what? I'm going to volunteer and offer to make the ham. It's not that hard." I mean, I went like 18 years without ever cooking a turkey because I always went to someone else's house and they cooked turkey and I figured it out. It's not that hard. Ham is even easier than cooking a turkey. And she just wouldn't accept it. She didn't say it no. She just said she would let me know. And it's like they sit in this house together. They're able to communicate with each other. And for some reason, she makes these plans in her head, but it never actually makes it from her brain to her mouth to clearly keep everyone, my dad or anyone else, informed and up to speed on what's going to be going on. So it's just extremely frustrating. So I still don't know what's going to happen. And by the time I actually get this published, Easter probably will have come. and gone, and maybe I'll update it. I don't know. I doubt anybody's going to be sitting here waiting for an update all the way to the end of this podcast. But anyway, those are the kinds of things that just drive me crazy. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know. It's just to start a group chat and say, "Hey, Easter's on this date. I'd like to have everybody over to our house. Who can make it and what can you bring? And by the way, we will provide because we're hosting A, B, and C." But I don't know. For somebody who is so narcissistic, I'm just not sure why she cannot just take the bull by the horns and organize something. And you may be asking, why don't you host it? We live about 70 miles away from each other. My house has stairs, and my dad doesn't do stairs very well. And it's small. And my brother, he sold his house and he's renting a room from someone. So there's just not a space that's big enough to have a lot of people. So, also, I don't need the judgment that would come with my very anal retentive persnickety stepmother being in my house and looking at every speck of dust that I have. It's just not worth it to me. I would rather just randomly show up at their house for lunch someday with, and have sandwich and some chips and a cookie and not worry about the formality of having something specifically for a holiday. But that's just me. So anyway, when I was trying to decide what I wanted to talk about in this podcast, I was all over the place. And usually I try to get something in at least once every couple of months about self-awareness. I try to mix it up, do something kind of funny and not serious at all. And then, I like to also talk to people that I have a lot in common with. And one of the things that I know, there are folks out there who would like to learn more there. And even though I know we're all unique, I also know, because I'm a certified ADHD coach, that there are a lot of people who want to hear and need to know and would like to have more information on ADHD, especially the most recently diagnosed. I'm, I'm a full grown adult. I'm 40, 50, whatever years old, and I'm just now finding out that I have ADHD. And oh, wow, now I realize, and it all makes sense. I've had this all along. I just happen to be a woman, and it's different for women, and all of the things that I've talked about before that I'm not going to go into in incredible detail because we don't have all day. Easter is right around the corner if you celebrate. So I'm just going to start out by being honest and saying to everyone out there, I'm a loser. Now, you might have already been thinking that. And if you were, that's fair. But really what I'm talking about is I lose things. Well, I can't say that I lose things. I don't lose things. I just hide them from myself. I put them in places so safe, even I can't find them again. And if this sounds like you, this is a safe space. You are welcome. This is the podcast for you. Keys gone, phone missing, important paperwork filed with such confidence, it might as well be buried treasure. And I always remember thinking, this is a great spot. I'm going to make a mental note. I've put this item in this place. I'm here to tell you that doesn't work. Case in point, I once put my wallet in a bag I hadn't used in years, only to find it a year later like some archaeologist unearthing relics of my past. And yes, I know I'm not alone in this. I went to the foot doctor a year ago and I got a prescription for pain medication and I was really, really happy. And I came home and I took one, and then the next day I took a second one, and then the third day I took a third one, and things were going just great. And then, the next day I cannot find this pill bottle, cannot find this medication. Looked in all of the normal places. And it's not like I don't have any other medication bottles, right? So I'm, opening up the medicine cabinet and there's medication in there, but oh, it's old stuff that I don't take anymore. And, then I'm cursing myself under my breath, like, why do you keep this stuff around? You don't need it. And so I never found it. And so I'm at a point in my life now where, of course, depending on the item, but for the most part, we're talking about stuff that It's inconvenient not to be able to find it, but it's not going to change my life. So I'm at a point now where I'm just like, okay, it'll turn up. And so I went about my merry way. Life continued as normal, the normally chaotic life that it is. And now here it is, a year later, and I was looking for another item that I knew was probably under the bed. And by the way, why does dropping an object near your bed defy the laws of physics? Like you drop it on the floor next to the bed, but somehow it ends up 6 inches under the bed, almost in the bowels of the middle of the bed. I don't get that. So anyway, I got down on the floor and I'm looking under the bed and I don't see the object that I'm looking for, but under the nightstand, which is right next to the bed, there is a bottle of medication. And lo and behold, for a whole year, I think, a year, uh, this bottle of pills has been under my nightstand. I can't make this up. So if you have ADHD, you know this is not random and you are not careless. You're losing things strategically. Eventually, it stops being funny, though. You start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I remember anything? And this is where I interrupt. It's not a character flaw, it's brain wiring. ADHD brains process attention, memory, and organization differently. Once you realize that, you stop blaming yourself, and that's the first step to fixing it. So let's talk about the science of losing things, starting with working memory. Working memory is your brain's sticky note. And with ADHD, that note falls off instantly. For example, you put your keys down while thinking about five other things. The phone buzzes, you pivot, that key placement never had a chance. I cannot tell you how many times I have lost my phone in the house. It couldn't be anywhere but in the house. And the reason I can't find it is because I put it on the stovetop, which is black, and the phone case is black, or, whatever. And sometimes I have to ask somebody to call my phone. I ask Alexa to call my phone, but now my phone won't actually let the call go through because the spam blocker. Oh, so as a result, I have trouble with finding someone. I have to go to my laptop and like message them on Facebook or something to call my phone, and I don't need any comments or help on the whole Find Your Phone app and all that stuff. I get it. Um, and one time I found the remote that I looked for 5 days. I looked for the remote control and I found it in the freezer. And all of us have stories like that. And it's funny how often I see posts on social media where people say they can't find something, and people suggest that you look in the fridge or the freezer. But it makes sense. Like we run to the fridge a lot during a regular day. So even though you might be like, well, I use the bathroom a lot, let me go in the bathroom. If you've checked every possible place that makes sense to you, let's not forget the fridge and the freezer. I see this with clients all the time. People blaming themselves for something their brain literally didn't store. Most of us operate on autopilot, right? How many of us have gotten home after work and not remembered the route home? We're listening to the radio, our brains are, going through 75 thoughts a minute, and just everything is going on around us. And you're like, wait a minute. That was your autopilot. You're doing one thing, you're thinking about three others, and you set something down mid-task. That moment, gone. And let me just say, I have 2 dogs, right? I have 2 dogs now. I just got a puppy. And if I walk them both together, yes, it's time saving, but they act like such fools when they're walking side by side together on separate leashes that most of the time, by the time we get to the house, I am so one of them's got the leash wrapped around all 4 of his legs. The other one is panting because I had to pull him really hard to get away from the other one. It's just like chaotic. And so if I walk them separately, then that's a lot of time that I'm spending and a lot of my attention that I'm devoting to the dogs and making sure that they don't pee in the house or whatever, and that they go outside and get exercise and fresh air. And so that moment, that mid-task moment is just gone. And that's how you end up with your keys in the fridge or your wallet in a tote bag that you haven't used in years. And the emotional offense is guaranteed when that's going on. I worked at the Container Store a couple of years ago, and I cannot tell you how much I loved the fact that the employee discount was so fantastic. And I bought so many clear containers. And I got clear containers because even though I want the mess out of the way, like no clutter out on the counters or whatever, I still have to be able to see it. Drawers are fantastic, right? Clear containers, totally different thing. They're not going in drawers most of the time, but they can. But drawers are where good intentions go to die. I have so many, either a dresser or a console table or an ottoman that has flip ups, a flip up top that you can store things in, and like a coffee table with drawers and drawers and drawers. But they are where good intentions go to die. If it's hidden, your brain is like, well, that's not a part of our life anymore. Bye, deck of cards. It was nice knowing you. And it is object permanence, but it's not. Like, not understanding the concept of object permanence, like you see that a lot with little kids, when you play peekaboo and all of that stuff, they don't know that if you're hiding behind something or you put something behind another object, that it's still there, it still exists. We know that, like we're grown-ups, we know that, but when you have ADHD, your brain is kind of like out of sight, out of mind, right? That that object is no longer part of our life. And you live that way happily until you have to have it and you need it. And that's why visible systems work better for some people than beautiful but secretive ones. These are truly impressive moments, putting something somewhere so illogical, it's almost performance art. Keys in the fridge, milk in the cupboard, phone in a bag that's been lost to time. Somehow your pills ended up underneath the nightstand and you never checked it. That is your brain mid track switch. It's not you being ridiculous. Now, now, let's talk about the ADHD tax. It's not a real tax, but it might as well be. It's the invisible cost of ADHD: money, time, energy. Constantly leak. Here's what it looks like: late fees, missed deadlines, parking tickets, replacing lost items like wallets, keys, phones. Oh my gosh. It doesn't always have to be something expensive, because if it's something that you can never find, right? But it's not really all that pricey, you'll just go and pick another one up at the store. And then the next thing you know, you've got five cuticle nippers or nail clippers or bottles of blue nail polish, whatever, because you're like, oh, I'll just grab one. But you know what? It's not like it costs nothing. Impulse spending you immediately regret is also part of the ADHD task. Impulse spending that you immediately regret is part of the ADHD tax as well. It doesn't really qualify when we talk about losing things, but it's just overall, it's part of the tax. Forgotten subscriptions and free trials. I know this one has to hit home for pretty much everybody, because we now live in a world where if we want to watch something on TV and we've heard great things about it and it's like on Max or Hulu, and you're like, okay, well, I can binge it. And in the next 7 days, 30 days, whatever the trial period is, I'll be able to watch that show that I really want to watch, and then I'll cancel it and we'll be good to go. No, that isn't what happens. The free trial period ends. You don't remember to stop it. You end up paying double the price, or, you get billed when it should have been free. And then you're like, why am I like this? Why does this keep happening? Why am I not learning a financial lesson? And the other part of it too is this can impact your career as well. The ADHD tax, from a career standpoint, adults with ADHD earn less on average because executive function challenges cause instability or missed promotions. That's a lot to unpack, and I'm not going to get into it in too much detail in this podcast. But I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 51, and I was still working in the traditional workplace and super organized, never missed a deadline, on top of things for the most part. But you add that and maybe something like, oh, I don't know, menopause, where your estrogen is depleted and it amplifies ADHD symptoms that you were dealing with before, whether you knew it or not. And then all of a sudden, the executive function challenges start to kind of creep in and make their presence known in ways that become noticeable to the people that you work with. Or you also may just be that kind of person like I was, where you were up until a certain point able to be very businesslike, leave personal things at the door, not get upset or bothered by office politics, the mean girls, whatever. But now everything gets you a little bit shaken and you unravel and you're sensitive. And if you've not lost something in the office and had trouble finding it for someone, then there's a whole heap of other issues that come along with being the person that you thought you would always be in the workplace. And, for me, ultimately, well, it didn't end. Ultimately, it just contributed to my decision not to be in the traditional corporate world workforce. That was disguised as the unhappiness with a toxic work environment. It wasn't like my employer wasn't toxic. That was there anyway. But I've worked in toxic groups at work before, unfortunately, and navigated that just fine. But you just get to a point at your age and your own development as an adult and with your symptoms that sometimes you just say, I can't do this anymore. And so the mobility that you had to move up the ladder is kind of gone. And then you find yourself at that crossroads where you're just like, I don't even think that I can be in this place or or this career anymore because I just can't do it like I used to. I don't have the drive or the passion to do it, whatever that may be. So, over time, talking about the ADHD tax, this can snowball into thousands of dollars a year, plus the mental energy it takes to manage it all. So, I'll be quite honest and say when I left the last corporate traditional workplace job that I had, I was being paid very nicely. I was still, living within my means, but it was tough. I went from having a dependable every 2 week salary that helped me sustain my life to kind of like jumping out there without a net and no guaranteed every 2 weeks paycheck. And if I got a paycheck, it wasn't always the same. I mean, that's what happens when you own a business. Or if I had decided to take something that was less stress and maybe my skill sets were, I was overqualified for that job, whatever, because I mentioned I worked at the Container Store. That definitely did not bring home the bacon for me. It was just something that I could do to stay busy and active while I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up the second time around. So I can say with some certainty that that career impact tax is probably the biggest part of the ADHD tax for me, and it could be for you. And don't forget the emotional side, the shame tax. So, the shame tax, that's that inner voice that says, why am I like this? I should be better. That one hurts the most. So, here's the thing, trying to fix this with willpower alone doesn't work. The solution is systems. That's where ADHD coaching comes in. I help people. I help people build automated financial and organizational systems, add friction to stop impulsive spending, strengthen workplace executive function, and externalize memory so you can stop blaming yourself for wiring differences. The goal isn't perfection, it's removing unnecessary mental load so life becomes manageable. So let's talk about some other solutions. We're focusing right now on losing things, right? I used to always tell people when they would come into the Container Store, they would say, oh, I'm here to get a whole bunch of, boxes or other containers because I'm redoing my closet or bedroom or kitchen. And one of the things I would ask them is if they had purged yet. And if the answer was no, I would say, I'm happy to help you find solutions. But one of the things I recommend is first you purge and then you organize. It is so much more difficult to decide where something is supposed to go and to see if spatially it's going to work if you still have all of the clutter or the extra things, the superfluous stuff, whatever you might want to call it, in the way. So hang a bag, trash bag on the doorknob. Do take little bites and say, I did this last week. I put a hanging trash bag in my bedroom because I knew there were things in here that I needed to get together and donate clothing wise and also toss. So I did that. I did not go through every single room in my house and try to do that because smaller bites is so much, doing the smaller bites approach. You are much more likely to thoroughly take care of a room than you are to partially do it, give up, and then not get back to it and still have your issue with your excessive things and your ADHD tax. So remember when you are organizing, being visible is greater than organized. Hooks, clear bins, open baskets, visibility beats Pinterest perfection. Drop zones. A drop zone is one consistent home for essentials, not five, not subtle, obvious. One consistent home for the essential items. And it needs to be somewhere where you can see it because nothing is going to bother you more. And I'm sure you've gone through this where you're just like, okay, that item that I use all the time, like a nail file or a bottle of vodka, just kidding, is always in a very inconvenient place, or it always takes me longer to find it. And last time I kept it in this room, and now I have it in this room. I always need to be able to find it. If it's always in that one consistent place, then you never have to worry about the ADHD tax that comes with just going out and buying another one or going out and paying somebody else to file your nails for you. You see where I'm going with this. Here's another tip. Pause and place. Pause plus place. Right before you put something down, pause for 2 seconds and ask yourself, will I remember this later? And if not, adjust. Now, external memory, huge. Say it out loud, take a photo, leave breadcrumbs. It's not cheating, it's working smarter. I have a huge dry erase board on this wall, like in the hallway. Actually, I just call it in the east. I actually would tell you the location of this is in the east wing of my house. It's really just like a little hallway with a little extension, like a bump out. And I will write on that dry erase board with all the other things that I write on there about work and things like that, where I've put something. This comes in especially handy if I am using something for my business that is event driven. So I have to take this item from my home, take it to another location, use it, and then maybe a month from now, I'm going to have to go somewhere else and use it. So in that 30-day time period, I don't want it out where I can see it necessarily, but I also know I'm my own worst enemy with saying, oh, I'll easily find it here. So right before you put it down, pause, say it out loud, and then I write it on the dry erase board. I put the vodka in the kitchen cabinet. It's just my example. It's working smarter, not harder. Then the other thing is, and I give this advice, I have people practice it, and then I fail 7 nights. Okay, so 7 nights a week. There's probably at least 2 nights where I fail on this one thing. 5 minutes at night saves 30 in the morning. Put things back where they belong, check essentials, and read. These are exactly the kinds of strategies I use with clients. No shame, just practical, neurodivergent friendly systems. So if I go to bed and I haven't taken that 5 minutes to gather the things that I know I'm going to need in the morning, It takes me so much more time to get out the door, especially on the days where I take one of the dogs to daycare, because there are items that I need to take with me, including the dog. And I never forget to take the dog, but there are items that I have to take with me that I need to have in the same place all the time. So I'm not running around trying to find them and delaying our departure. So if you lose things all the time, it doesn't mean you're careless. It means your brain is built to move forward fast, not archive details. So stop trying to become someone who remembers everything and build a life where you don't have to. And until then, lose things in slightly more predictable places. I hope this has been helpful to you. Just remember, be easy on yourself. Ciao for now. And hey, did I mention that I'm a certified ADHD coach? If you're interested in chatting more and would like a free consultation, check out the link in this podcast bio. Ciao for now.